What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Welcome back to Flicks Talk Podcast. Now I'm back with a huge movie review. Don't worry, it's spoiler free. I'll get into a spoiler review later on with my buddy Q Reviews, but until then, watch this if you guys have not seen the movie. Like I said, spoiler free. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. Now most of us are just saying John Wick 3. I know I am. So, is this the best in the trilogy? I'll talk about that a little later, as well as my likes and my dislikes for the movie. Now, right off the bat, this movie is directed by Chad Stahelski. Now, he also directed the original John Wick and John Wick 2, and that's one of my huge likes, is that when you keep a director, you get that same feel of the original movies, and I thought that was a major plus in the factor of making this movie so damn epic. Now, of course, for this movie, we have our star coming back, Keanu Reeves playing Mr. John Wick, as well as Halle Berry, Ian McShane, Lawrence Fishburne, Mark Dacascos, Asia Kate Dillon, and Lance Reddick, just to name a few. Now, this film did come out May 17, 2019. I was able to catch it the night before on that Thursday night, and man, it was a packed, sold out theater. First reactions, guys, right when this movie kicked in, people were screaming, and I have, this thing personally where if I just see some ultra stuff going on screen, I start laughing, not because it's funny at all, because it's just so much going on that I can't believe what I'm seeing. And right out the gate, guys, you're gonna get the events that follow John Wick, the second one, John Wick 2. So if you guys have not seen that one, I urge you guys so much. If not, check out the first one, kind of binge watch it like I did throughout the last week, just to kind of get, really revved up for John Wick Chapter 3. And I'm so glad I did, because there was a lot of things that I definitely forgot in the movie. Now, with the original, just kind of touching on that one a little bit, you kind of get that a little more emotional side, where you get the whole situation with the puppy, and I won't get into that, guys, because it is a kind of a huge spoiler, even though a lot of people know already what that's about, and his redemption for that, him losing his wife. And they touch a little more on the emotional side, and John Wick coming out of retirement in John Wick 1. Now, jumping to the second John Wick, just a rough overview once again to kind of know what I'm talking about for Chapter 3, is John Wick 2 is kind of a situation happens where John Wick has a bounty on his head, and it's kind of all no holds barred, because some situations kind of don't work out in his favor, and he ends up being the mark and the focal point of all these killers and assassins going after him in particular. So it's really cool, guys, that this film, John Wick Chapter 3, follows the events directly after what's going on in John Wick 2, and I think it's an amazing trilogy that you guys need to watch from start to finish, because Keanu Reeves is someone that blew us out of the water in the 80s. If you said, will Keanu be the next action star? Hell no. I mean, he was such someone that was kind of thrown into the stoner role, comedy role, from Bill and Ted. And, we saw that progression from Johnny Mnemonic, of course, him playing Neo in The Matrix, Point Break. He was starting to kind of elevate himself, being in that 80s, 90s action figure role. But I could not even predict that he would, make movies like, 47 Ronin or The Master of Tai Chi. I did not see him, getting so involved with Kung Fu and these, the gun, the tactical side of everything that he has become in John Wick, this whole trilogy. And it's just amazing to see the growth, because he's someone that, we're seeing a lot of people older in life. You have Jason Statham, even The Rock is getting up there in age, Josh Brolin, Liam Neeson. All these older guys are becoming the action stars of our generation. I think it's so awesome to see. Even Charlize Theron, Atomic Blonde, and more notably Halle Berry. Whoa, did she shine in this movie, man? She's kicking ass so much, and utilizing her dogs in the film, it is, oh my god, it is crazy, especially that scene where they're in, I believe it's in the Middle East somewhere. I actually walked out for a pee break, so I didn't really get to see where in the world they were located in this one scene, but it was phenomenal once these two meet up. And I would really like to see kind of Halle Berry redeem herself out of that Catwoman role and just kind of step up, and hopefully we can get Atomic Blonde type of movie from her, because she still has it, especially her being up a little more in age. she is kicking ass. She's kept in shape and she moves very fluid, to keep up with these Avengers or these John Wicks that we have going on in 2019. Now, like I said, guys, the premise is directly leading from John Wick Chapter 2. So we get to see John Wick running around the streets of New York, and then we find out immediately that he has an open bounty on his head of $15 million. So they kind of put out the call, the text messages to all the assassins in the area to kill John Wick. So right away, like in the first 5 to 10 minutes, we get to see our first kill, and oh my god, is it an epic one. And it just kind of sets the pace for what you can expect from John Wick Chapter 3. Now, even though this is an action movie, I mean, you might get 20 to 30 minutes of just pure action, ultra violence kills, but then it kind of slows down with a little more in-depth side stories of certain characters, especially Asia's character, who kind of is leading an investigation for the hierarchy, and she's trying to figure out how John Wick was able to get away in Chapter 2 and who's helping him along the way, because they do kind of get tried and persecuted throughout the movie for their treason, I guess, you can call it. And it's really cool. You kind of get these kind of side stories that all intertwine with John Wick and some of the side situations and characters, like I said, and their punishments because of it. So it's a little more in-depth with this whole high council type of deal, like a Illuminati type figures behind the scenes, because there are people above the Continental Hotel, which is supposed to be a safe haven for these assassins. So it's really, really cool to see all of that kind of unfold and take play, guys. But I mean, most people are gonna be watching John Wick Chapter 3 for the ultra violence, and I gotta say, guys, this has to be the highest kill count of them all. Like, we're talking about in the 200s. I believe they said the first movie was somewhere around the 70 to 80 kill count mark. The second one was like 120 or 130. This one is definitely double that. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of ammo some of these guys were taking. I mean, we're talking about one guy was getting like 20 bullets in his ass for no reason. So we're getting some extreme ultra violence and gore as well, guys. I think the director definitely wanted to get that point across, is that, so we have a bounty on John Wick's head. So we're not only going to go in this with just extreme tactical force, we're going to have the extreme armor. So, some of these guys come in, and it's not, like I said, guys, non-spoilers, but some of these guys do come in with armor. So we get to see John Wick kind of, seeing that bullets aren't really killing these guys. So he has to go hand-to-hand combat, a lot of takedowns and chokeholds. And we get to see a lot of knife and sword play when we get to see a lot of the Asian assassins after him. So it's really, really cool, guys. I mean, it satisfies your action kung fu on all senses, and I just absolutely loved it. So without kissing this movie's ass too much, guys, I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I didn't like for the movie. For the most part, I did absolutely love this movie, and it is actually my favorite in the series just for how much action-packed it was. I think it left off on a good note. I would like to see this be the final one. I'm not sure. I mean, you know how Hollywood is, guys. If a movie does well, they're going to continue it going on. But I was totally satisfied in this being the third in the trilogy, especially even more so than Keanu's last trilogy, The Matrix. I mean, Matrix Revolutions, or that third one, I believe it was called Revolutions, was not as epic as this third Chapter 3 Parabellum. So I definitely got to give him, much props, because he is kicking ass in this movie, and you could tell he's wearing his body out to the core. So some of my dislikes, if any, guys, was in some of these fight scenes, we get to see Keanu definitely slow down, and it looked like his punches, of course, were telegraphed and choreographed. I mean, the real slow movement punches, where it seems like some of these assassins that he was fighting were about half of his age, if not a little older. So Keanu Reeves is 54 years old, guys, and he's kind of moving like it. In some of these scenes, I mean, I understand he's going at, 3 or 4 guys at a time, but for the most part, I mean, you'll see him go hand-to-hand combat with these guys, 1 or 2, and towards the end of the movie, I noticed he was definitely slowing down. I know they wanted to make it a little more realistic because he is fighting through the whole movie, but some of these fights definitely looked a little slower. And the cool thing about this film, guys, especially in the fight scenes, is that it's not just quick cuts. We get to see a lot of long shots of them kind of moving around in very fluid motion. So it looked really, really realistic. But in that sense, I mean, I was thinking, come on, these guys are half his age. They're obviously a lot quicker. Why are they not killing him or getting the upper hand? But I understand it's, we're supposed to make John Wick the superior guy, the superior ultimate assassin that can't be killed. And that was the only gripe I kind of had, was that it looked a little more unbelievable, where I thought the assassins could have got the upper hand. Another dislike of mine, guys, was the ending of the film. I really wasn't satisfied 100% of the direction they took it in. I thought they could have utilized Lawrence Fishburne's character a little more. Instead, they used him kind of for the comic relief, and he kind of had that, almost that Morpheus vibe, where he's giving a lot of, powerful speeches, and it just wasn't really doing it for me. I know they kind of had him, they utilized him in John Wick, Chapter 2, or John Wick 2, I don't know why I'm calling it Chapter 2, just because of this movie probably, but John Wick 2, they utilize his character, and he's kind of someone that leads the underground, on a street level, but he has a huge pivotal part in the whole John Wick universe. And I thought that he was just kind of a little overacting a little bit in this movie, but not too much of a dislike. I just thought that they kind of could expand it a little bit more on his character. But other than that, guys, I totally love this movie through and through. I mean, even at the slower parts where it was more dialogue, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it all tied in. I thought a couple of scenes might have been overdrawn out, particularly when Keanu Reeves is trying to, find shelter or these safe havens. Some of his speech, some of the dialogue was just a little kind of overdone. We could tell that Mr. Keanu Reeves is just trying to get more into this serious role of being a stone cold killer. And it's actually pretty cool because we do get to see a little bit of backstory and more training of him before John Wick #1. So that's really cool to kind of see where he came from. And hopefully, shit, I would love to see a prequel of John Wick if you can get one in the future. I know he's kind of slowing down, like I said, so I don't even know if he'd, even be interested in doing something like that. This might be a one and done. This might be the end of John Wick. Who knows? We'll see in the next couple of years what's to come from this Chapter 3. But all in all, guys, I had an amazing time with John Wick Chapter 3. Like I said, it is ultra violence that had me on the edge of my seat. I was watching it with a buddy, and we're like action fiends, so it definitely satisfied all of our talking points afterwards. I mean, it's a great conversation piece for people that love action and ultra violent movies. So if you guys like that, you guys are gonna love John Wick Chapter 3. And I definitely got to give this one a 9 out of 10 in the series, if not a 9.5 in the series, guys. It's definitely up there. Like I said, everybody in this movie was kicking ass. Even some of the side characters that I didn't even know, even some of the side characters I didn't know too much, like Lance Reddick. I mean, we saw him at the end, and he actually stepped it up and just started kicking ass for the Continental. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, check this one out this weekend, guys, and watch it in Dolby Surround Sound IMAX. Watch it in your biggest theater because the sound is so immersive. I mean, those shots, you could feel it. If you guys are gun fanatics, you guys are definitely going to be satisfied with this one. But yeah, if you guys did check out John Wick, or if you guys are excited to see it this weekend or in the coming weekend, let me know in the comments below, guys. Let's get a dialogue started, and make sure you guys are following me on my social medias on Instagram and Twitter at Flicks Talk Podcast. If you guys did appreciate and like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you guys are subscribing and hitting that bell notification. It always helps me. All right, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, and I'll be talking a spoiler review with my buddy Q Reviews. All right, guys, like I said, subscribe to the channel to get it first, and you guys can always listen and subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Castbox. All right, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, I'm gone. Peace.